Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Coaching Ender, the series. Normally an NHL series, or at least previously an NHL series. Now, might do some Overwatch 2 videos going forward, as that is his new obsession. But so we're going to get right into it here. So Ender is in main support, I believe, Bronze 3. This is a competitive game, if I'm not mistaken. So should be mostly bronze lobby, I would assume. Hopefully entirely bronze, but who knows with the matchmaking these days. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and just get right into this. Right off the bat, I'm noticing the positioning here is interesting. It's kind of cheeky. I don't know if... I think it lets you stand up here, doesn't it? We're going to see here as we unpause it. No, I guess it doesn't. So you slide off, but you try to go kind of cheeky there. But so you're just going to kind of hold this corner here. Your tank's holding the corner. That's fine. You're kind of here healing. So, okay, Farah's going to fly in and do some damage. So yeah, you can definitely be kind of, you go for that like little bit of off-angle damage there, but you back up because of the Farah. That was good. Throw the damage orb in. I will say right away, damage orb, probably not a great angle to throw it in. So obviously when you throw in an orb, whether damage or healing orb as Moira, you want to throw the orb in somewhere that it's actually going to, you want to maximize the uptime on the orb basically. So the orb lasts for whatever, like the cooldown 6 seconds. I think the orb lasts like pretty much that entire time if I'm not mistaken. So you want to throw the orb somewhere that is actually going to be doing something the whole time. So you want to try and angle it off a wall, or if you're inside, you can angle it off a ceiling. But basically, you want to keep bouncing the orb around somewhere that it's actually doing stuff. So you threw it basically straight across this street here, and there's really nothing there for it to bounce off of. It's just going to go straight down the street and be gone. Whereas if you'd thrown it just a little bit off to the side here, and I can actually illustrate what I'm talking about with this. Hopefully it works. Probably need to make it a little bit thicker, but it's fine for now. If you'd kind of thrown it a little bit off into this direction instead of straight down the street like you did, then you probably could have bounced it around off this back wall over here, off this building here, kept it. Their team is over in this area, obviously. So if you'd kind of bounced it off this wall, you could have actually put it somewhere where it's going to be bouncing around and causing problems for them. Because, I speak from experience when I say, when you have a Moira orb that is just, bouncing around in the middle of your team, it can be a real problem because you start taking damage from, the main angle, right? The tank, the Junkrat spamming grenades in. If you get hit by a grenade and that damage orb is floating around in the middle of you, you can just end up dead suddenly. So you definitely want to make sure you're angling those orbs somewhere that they're going to keep providing value. Kind of angle them somewhere that they're going to bounce off a wall, bounce off of something. They could even bounce off the payload here maybe. So that they're going to be constantly kind of in the team, disrupting them, being a pain in the butt. Yeah, obviously. So your Junkrat is in trouble here. Whoops, need to get off of this. Your Junkrat's in trouble here. I clicked off of my spectate thing. This is the first time I'm doing this with this tool, so it's going to be a little sloppy. I apologize. But yeah, so you're healing Junkrat, good. That's critical. He's going to die. You fade to get over to the Reaper quickly, which is good. You have to play this cover very carefully, though. When you don't have fade, now you have it back, so you can get a little more liberal. But you do always want to be playing cover because you don't want to be taking unnecessary damage. Okay, so the Reaper is kind of out here. He's dead. Terrible positioning on his part, not a lot you could do there. He kind of ran. I mean, your Reaper literally just ran out ahead of the payload while the Bastion was standing there in turret form. Not a great decision. That's just asking for trouble, honestly. But, your teammates are going to do what they're going to do. It's weird that like you click anywhere else, it clicks off your perspective. It's very annoying. Maybe I'm just bad at using it. I've never used it before, but yeah, so you're healing tank a little bit here. I still think I think especially right now, so your orb is up. I think in general you spend too much time not really doing anything. So here, your tank's basically full health. You don't really need, you could spray a little bit on them. The thing about Moira's healing is Obviously, it's resource dependent, but you have plenty of resource available here. So the thing is, and hang on, I think I just realized that my mouse isn't being captured, so need to make sure that that's being captured. That's actually going to be helpful. But yeah, so you have your resource gauge here. You have plenty of healing. You could spritz just a little bit and top her off real quick. But mostly I would focus on, I'm actually going to use this for a second to kind of move around. You can go over this direction. You know, you have over here, the team is backed up significantly, which is kind of good actually for you. They should be playing aggressive right now because they just killed your Reaper. And it looks like they're all alive. Your Reaper says he's alive, but he's coming back from spawn, so he's not really in the fight right now. But I think all their guys are alive and over here, if I'm not mistaken. The Moira's back here. Who isn't back here? Anybody not back here? Who's the last one? So, oh, the Pharah's up in the sky. Okay, I didn't see the Pharah. So yeah, so all of them are there. They should be pressuring you right now, and they're not for some reason. In fact, actually, let's see what your tank is looking at. So your tank's just like facing down this damage. But your tank has the payload right here, so hopefully at least they're going to be kind of playing the payload for cover a little bit. But honestly, since they're pushed back so far, I think you guys could probably be moving over here and taking this this corner here and using that to defend again. But then, of course, you have to worry about over here coming through the doorway because they can flank you. But they don't really have anybody that's particularly worrisome on the flank. Maybe Pharah. Because when she's flying, she can get up behind you pretty quietly sometimes, surprise you, but it's pretty cramped over there, so if Pharah did flank over there, you'd probably notice, but yeah, this is fun. Yeah, she's playing the cart for cover, so that's good. And she kind of spun there behind the cart. Don't really know why she did that, didn't really need to, but probably didn't really need to use the gold there either, but anyway, back to you. So, like I said, the Pharah is flanking, so you have to watch out for that. So your Reaper is over here. He's kind of in range where that's not really a range that is ideal for him. He wants to be on top of the Pharah, and the Pharah is kind of at mid-range, which makes it easy for her to hit those rockets. So he could be in trouble here. You're kind of preemptively healing him a little bit, which is fine. Honestly, it's tough for you in this situation, but now because they have a Pharah, and your team just doesn't have really anything that they can do about the Pharah. Reaper and Junkrat are pretty terrible against her. That it's going to be really hard for them to actually deal with her. Fortunately, she's not getting pocketed at least, but in this case, obviously you really like playing Moira, so you're sticking with Moira, but I would probably swap to Baptiste or Ana. Especially since she's not getting pocketed, I would probably just go Baptiste because I could probably kill her pretty easily. While still being able to heal the team really effectively. But so you're going to play Moira, that's fine, that's whatever. Throwing out a healing orb, didn't really need to do that. Now fade. Okay, so that's awareness thing. We knew the Pharah was in that area. You kind of let her be right above you. You didn't really deal with her. You didn't even look up really much. But, you know, so the Pharah was there. She had ultimate. Probably could have predicted that. I'm not actually great at tracking ultimates myself. That's probably my biggest weakness, is my keeping the presence of mind to know when the enemies have their ultimates. But yeah, a minute and a half into the game, she probably has ultimate at this point. She just used it. You almost died and you had Fade, so you nearly died with Fade in your pocket, and that would have been really bad. You got out with 31 HP. Ideally, your Kiriko would be healing you right now, but the Reaper is also dying, so everybody's dying. Makes it hard on the healers when everybody's dying at the same time, because you can't heal everybody at once. But you definitely could have alleviated that situation by getting out of there quickly. That she ulted above you. It's honestly a miracle that you didn't die. I don't know how she didn't kill you, because she was right on top of you. Used her ultimate, and you didn't fade out when you had Fade readily available the whole time. I think you probably want to fade out and just turn around, look at the Pharah, and throw some damage on her. I don't think you had your damage orb ready, but you could have damaged her with your right click, obviously. Pharah is low, so I might look at trying to deal damage to her there. You're trying to keep the Reaper alive, throw the healing orb, it doesn't get there in time. I get what you're going for, but the whole team is there. They're probably going to kill him. I think you could have thrown a damage orb at the Pharah and focused on her. You probably would have killed her. Now, she's still low. This whole time she's been low, and you let her get the health pack. You ulted, and not a lot happening here. He's dying because he runs out in front of the Pharah. Still playing Junkrat, not being helpful. Spamming damage, obviously not getting any kills, which isn't great, but you're just trying to keep him alive, that's fine. So I think at this point, they're obviously about to cap the point. There really isn't anything you can do about it, but I would say you should be going... My little friendly tool here again. You should be going in around through the hallway behind you and popping out probably the other side just to try and you know, flank them a little bit and off angle a little bit. You're kind of heal botting your team, which is, you know, they're just sitting there and absorbing damage. Honestly, at this point, they're really not doing anything helpful for you, and you're definitely going to lose this point. So I would say you either could have gone around and flanked and thrown a damage orb or something just to try and disrupt them. You're probably not going to kill anybody, but you at least make them, you know, go over to you. And if you time your fade correctly with, you know, you kind of fade over there quickly and then walk around and then throw the damage orb, get a little damage, you probably get the fade back by the time they start to, you know, actually turn and deal with you. So you could probably fade out again. But yeah, this point is lost, obviously. So at this point, you really just need to back up. Your team needs to back up. They're apparently not going to... Oh, Reaper contested with his ultimate, and he's going to save it. So now you want to fade and get onto that point immediately and keep him alive. I didn't even see the Reaper over there. He must have jumped down from the window up behind you. So pretty crafty little play from him there, but a minute and a half left, and they haven't capped for the first point. So you're actually in a pretty decent spot here right now. You're kind of, again, you know, I've said this before, but like, you spend a lot of time not doing anything, I think. Right there, right now you're in no man's land. You're not close enough to heal this guy. He doesn't even need healing, so I don't know why you're trying to heal him. You healed your Kiriko, who was at full health. You're not in range to heal that guy. You're not in range to do any damage to anybody. You can see the Pharah over here. I'd probably be a little bit concerned about that. I might even actually go up the stairs here, go upstairs, and then kind of go up to this balcony area and start trying to just annoy the Pharah. You might even be able to reach like the Ana from up there, because Moira's right-click damage has kind of an unreasonably long range to it, if we're being honest. But yeah, you definitely could have been pestering them. By the time you get up there, you have your damage orb back for sure. So you could go up there, throw a damage orb, just annoy them. You know, honestly, because it'll just be helping your team, kind of drawing the pressure off of them. But yeah, so right now you're just kind of doing nothing. You just saw that you're okay. So this is kind of an awareness thing. You literally saw the Pharah shoot your Junkrat in the face with a rocket, and you didn't turn to look at him, you didn't heal him, you didn't do anything. So you needed to be aware of that. I will also say, I've said before that being aware of like footsteps is very important, which it is, but sound in general in this game is extremely important, because you can tell, you know, like footsteps will tell where somebody is, but they'll also tell you what character it is, because they all have different footsteps. But then you can hear things like you can hear the Pharah shooting a rocket. You can hear the Pharah exploding the rocket, right? But you can also hear your and actually I think you have like voice lines off or something, and I'm not sure if I never realized before, maybe this is like a voice sound setting or something, so you might not even be able to hear it, but I would recommend turning that on if that is the case, because when teammates get hit, and this is something I use when I play healer a lot, or support rather, is use teammates like basically grunting to know when they've been hit, so you know when to turn and heal them if you're not looking at them, right? It can actually be super helpful if I'm standing near a teammate but they're not in my field of vision, and I suddenly hear like, then I know like, oh, somebody just took damage, I should probably look and make sure they're okay and heal them if I need to. So that's definitely just an awareness thing. But in this one, the sound doesn't even matter. You saw the Junkrat over here. You saw him take a rocket to the face. You should have turned and looked to make sure you were healing him, because Pharah obviously is a burst damage character. So if she starts getting a lot of burst damage at once, you want to make sure that you're healing so that they can survive the next hit. And fortunately, he ends up being okay, but you know, that could have been a situation where maybe he dies because you weren't paying attention when he obviously took damage. So your Reaper's in trouble here. You don't have any cooldowns, so you can't really do anything for him, but your Kiriko's there to help him. Tank's over here, kind of in a safe spot, just throwing damage in from a distance. Again, you know, and I'm going to keep harping on this because it's really important, especially when you're playing in bronze, because bronze is like, you can get out of bronze pretty easily if you are, you know, if you're, honestly, anything. If you're heal botting your team and keeping them alive through anything, you should probably move up in rank. If you are, you know, taking off angles, playing smart, dealing damage, getting kills, then you should be ranking up. But you spend so much time over here just like not really doing anything. You're just kind of standing here, walking around. Now there's a Moira just faded in behind. Okay, you throw the heal orb because the Reaper is dying, but he's not in that much danger, but because he's faded away and he's kind of in a safe angle. The Pharah can't get him from here. What is that, a Ramatra? Probably too far away to really hurt him, but that's fine. Okay, so you throw the heal orb in. That's fine. Now turn around and deal with the Moira. Now turn around and deal with the Moira. Okay, your tank dealt with the Moira. It was kind of a crazy play by the Moira, but you need to be aware of that. The Moira, you saw her fade over your head behind you. You ignored her. If somebody jumps in behind you like that, you never ignore them. Because if you completely ignore them, they're just going to kill you. Doesn't mean that you need to divert all of your resources to killing them, because then the front line will fall apart and you just get rolled. Because obviously that's what, when somebody kind of jumps into you or goes behind you, flanks you, whatever, they're either trying to kill somebody or at least distract you. And if they distract you and that allows your team to get rolled from the front end, then they did their job, right? But yeah, you obviously wanted to keep the Reaper alive. So I would have said throw a heal orb in a direction where it can heal the Reaper up to where he's not critical anymore, and then immediately turn around and make sure that Moira is not causing problems. Your tank, of course, was at full health and wasn't getting pressured by anybody else, so it was fine. You definitely want to be aware that you do not want to generally just let someone jump behind you and ignore them. Kiriko's low health. Okay, healing her. Your tank is in there kind of doing everything herself. Your Kiriko's healing her though, so you're alright. Still, you're kind of healing full health. Not really doing anything. See, this is a situation where I think you don't... this is a point I was trying to get across earlier, where I don't think that you are using your Fade enough, basically. I think that you could really be using your Fade to be a bit more aggressive. Like, if you use your Fade like their Moira did, right? To just dive into the middle of the enemy team, you're probably just going to die right away. But it is a short cooldown, and you do have Orb to keep yourself alive if you need to. So you want to make sure that you have those. You want to make sure you're using those effectively. You want to make sure you have those when you need them. But they are pretty short cooldowns. You want to make sure that you're using them. You don't want to sit on them forever. There's a situation where you probably could have faded in to get a better angle to like heal your tank while she was ulting, or throw a damage orb, or do right-click damage with Moira just to try and help her with the ultimate, right? But yeah, I definitely think that you should be using... You're standing still for a long time here. You should be using the Fade to reposition more, but... Like I said with the other Moira, she dove into the middle of your team and died. Don't use Fade to dive into the middle of the enemy team. Use Fade to dive somewhere where you can be effective and either heal or deal damage, but that you still have cover, so you're not going to just die right away and fall over, right? Worst thing you can do in the entire game is die, especially when you're just like solo queuing in ranked, because if you die, then you're relying on 4 potential idiots to, you know, do the job for you. And you obviously, like, you're a support, you want to keep your team alive, you have to play with your team, but you don't want to solely rely on your team. You don't want to put your rank entirely in their hands, and a huge aspect of that is staying alive as long as possible. So here, I have a feeling you might use your heal orb on the Reaper, even though you're not going to need to. He's wraithed, he's safe, you can heal him up with left click, no problem. Okay, you didn't use the orb, so good there. You didn't use the orb, but here, yep, okay, good. Throw that damage orb in. I would say you probably... So I can see that I could see that their team was kind of coming through here, through the walls. You might not necessarily have known that unless you heard footsteps, but I probably would have said, maybe throw a damage orb into that room, because it'll bounce around and deal damage to all of them. But you might not have even known that they were in there. You might have thought they were just coming down the street again. So you threw the damage orb, but you actually did angle it. It looked like off of where it could have hit a building and actually bounced around and been effective. Here you're doing damage to the Pharah. That's fine. Tank is dying. Okay, there you go. Get in there and heal her, but now you're in front of the tank, and Okay. Okay, so you end up dying. Yeah, so that was... I like that you're at least using the Fade kind of to aggressively reposition there and try to heal your tank. I do think you had Heal Orb, though, so you probably could have played a little bit safer and thrown the Heal Orb in and just let her get a little bit closer before you started spraying her. But yeah, the issue I think there wasn't that you wanted to use the Fade to reposition, because I like that. I think you picked a bad position. You kind of the enemy was... If we actually... Here, I'll go back a couple seconds. We can watch that again. A little further. Okay. So Pharah's ulting, you're doing damage to Pharah, trying to kill her. That's fine. You probably needed, like... I don't know where your Junkrat is. Your Junkrat could have killed her here if he was paying attention. I don't even know... Where is he? Let's see real quick. Where is the Junkrat? I don't know how to rotate the... Where is the Junkrat? Is he dead? Did he die? I guess he died. I don't see him around here anywhere. Is he upstairs? I don't see him upstairs. Where is he? All right, let's find him. Yeah, he died. Okay, all right. That's unfortunate. Okay, but yeah, so you're doing damage to the Pharah. Nobody else is really killing her. Orisa has a bunch of stuff going on in front of her, so she's got a lot to focus on. But she probably should have dealt with the Pharah. I don't know if she had Javelin. If she did have Javelin, she could have knocked the Pharah right out of the ultimate. Would have saved her a lot of damage, because now she's critical, obviously. But yeah, so right here... Okay, so there's a Moira behind you, and you're really focused on healing the tank. She's absorbing a lot of damage from the front because she's badly positioned. She's out in the open, not behind any cover. But yeah, so here... I would say fading here is good, but you wanted to fade like behind the truck or somewhere, near there, somewhere that was kind of behind cover and protected a bit. The Moira was behind you, but she did ultimate, so she could have been an issue. But you almost have ultimate. So I don't know. I wouldn't have been too worried about the Moira. I would have repositioned probably to use the payload as cover from most of their team, which is going to be a bigger threat than the Moira. But you repositioned past your tank, and now you're caught between your tank and the other team, which is almost certain death. Is you don't have Orb, you don't have Fade, you're 4 seconds from having Fade, you're in serious trouble. You should have by this point you should be dead already. Their Moira should have focused you because you're low health, but you survived way longer than you should have. You have Fade back and you die with Fade, so you could have faded. I think actually the Ramatra is really closing in on here. Probably what you needed to do is fade over up into here and then try to kill the Moira. Since it's overtime, you really have nothing to... I could say you could play it safe and just completely, back up out of here and retreat completely. I don't know if you necessarily would have gotten away from the Ramatra if you tried to do that. You might have lived. But probably I would have just said, go up here, fade up here while you're ulting. The other Moira is super low. You should be able to kill her easily. Yeah, I think with what was left of your ultimate and then switching into your normal right click after the ultimate if you needed to finish her off, you could have killed her here. Your tank is definitely dead. There's no helping her. But it looks like they don't... Am I... Hang on. Need to swap off of this. Am I mistaken? Do they not have any... Okay, they do have the Ana. Okay, so the Ana's here. The Pharah's been low health for a long time, so I feel like the Ana either doesn't notice that she's low health, hasn't seen her at all, or she's struggling to hit her. Either way, you could probably be really cheeky, and if you do sneak up here, kill the Moira, you could probably eventually throw a damage orb in here and try to kill the Pharah too. At this point, your Junkrat, I assume, is coming back from spawn probably. Where is he? Is he back yet? Okay, you're here. No, yeah, that's your Kiriko. So your Kiriko's still alive. And your Reaper, okay, your Reaper just died. The Junkrat's coming back. So your Junkrat's coming back. So if you kill the Moira, they are down to a healer, a low health Pharah, and a tank. You still have yourself, hopefully anyway, your Kiriko. And your tank is definitely going to die here. But then you have the Junkrat coming in. So if you're able to kind of pester the Pharah, maybe even kill her after killing the Moira, then your Junkrat comes in. Ramatra is going to lose to Junkrat probably. And then the Ana is just going to die. So, and it's overtime. They don't have anybody. You can see here, as we can see the enemies through the walls, nobody is anywhere near the payload on the back end. So it's literally just these 3 guys versus... you 3 guys and the Junkrat coming late, but your Orissa's about to die, obviously. So that's definitely a potentially winnable fight if you play this a little bit differently here, but I'm guessing they're probably not going to get this anyway somehow. I'm not sure what's going to happen here. Yeah, the Ana still hasn't healed the Pharah. Junkrat ignores the Pharah. He could have thrown a mine and killed her. He didn't. And okay, you're coming back from spawn. And they're about to get it. The Reaper's contesting, and now he has ultimate again. And he kills everybody again. And looks like you're about to have this. And still contesting. Orisa got back just in time. I would have probably thrown a heal orb to keep the Orisa alive. That's fine. Pharah's right next to you. Kill her. Okay, Junkrat did it. Yeah, so terrible positioning in that last bit. You literally faded right next to the Pharah and then just kind of ignored her. Definitely don't do that. Be aware of the Pharah before you fade right next to her, because if you do that, she's just going to kill you. Okay, so that's round 1. So, you know, not great positioning, not great decision making. I would say like the cooldown usage is not great. Dying a lot. Do we have a scoreboard? I don't know if I can bring up the scoreboard. I feel like they might have added that in at some point, but I don't remember if we can see it. I don't know. In any case, I'm guessing that you've probably died like 4 or 5 times maybe. But yeah, it's so, you know, definitely a lot of things to work on there, but we'll see how you do on the attack here. We're gonna have to wait another whatever 40 seconds. It's fine, we'll skip it. Okay, here we go. Round starts. He threw the healing orb for the Orisa. Probably didn't really need to do that, but it's fine. Because you're about to have your orb back anyway, I would say. At this point, you're kind of heal botting your team. Okay, throw the damage orb in, that's fine. You didn't pick a great angle. I would say, okay. Let me go back a second here. Okay, that was a horrible sound that it made, but that's fine. Okay, so when we go to... Okay, you throw the damage orb. You throw the damage orb, you do a lot of just throwing the damage orb directly through the enemy team. Now here's something, here's a couple things you could have done here. This is not necessarily the best play. What I probably would have done is I would banked it right off the wall here. So you throw it through, it banks off the wall. It just kind of creates like a triangle at least, so that you're kind of like, you bounce it off this wall and then it kind of goes back this way through the enemy team, as opposed to you just throw it straight through. Obviously, hey, you know, we you know, basic law of triangles here, right? The hypotenuse of the triangle is the shortest route, right? The 2 legs of the triangle are longer, which means that, you know, if you kind of bounce it at that angle like that, bounce it off the wall, it's going to be in play a bit longer. Alternatively, you could have tried to bounce it, you know, maybe off that back wall, kept it in a little longer, or you could have been like really cheeky about this. And let me kind of declutter the screen here real quick. Could have been real cheeky and thrown it kind of peeked this and thrown it at like a severe angle off this wall, so that it kind of just bounces back and forth in here a bit. Or maybe the best thing you could have done is throw it off of this wall here, so that it bounces around in this room where this bastion is, and it's highly unlikely that it's going to kill him, but what it probably will do is it's just gonna bounce around that room all over the place, bounce all over. The Bastion's in there. He's gonna take a ton of damage. He's probably gonna have to jump out the window. So then that forces the Bastion out of a really good high ground position here, where he has a good angle to just shoot down, you know, onto all of you guys. Forces him out of there, and then he's kind of out in the open where somebody can deal with him. Out in the open where the Junkrat's spamming his grenades, right? So he's going to be a lot more, you know, vulnerable to that spam damage, as opposed to now where he's up here, he can kind of easily take cover. But that damage orb can really force him out of that spot. So we're still here kind of healing. I mean, this is fine. Obviously, they need healing, but I would still say he's still up there. Okay, so you do throw the damage orb up there. That's good. And he's still up there, but he's still taking damage. He has not jumped down. And now you do kind of bank it off the wall and let it kind of run through the team there, so that's good. It's like you're taking my advice, like you heard me through the game retroactively somehow. Okay, so you're gonna heal the Torb, keep him alive for a minute here. You're running out of heal juice, so you really need to be getting in there and dealing damage at some point. I would say probably something that you could do is there's way too much from the Pharah and the Bastion. There's way too much spam damage to think that you can just walk across, you know, this area and not just get absolutely destroyed with damage from coming through the middle. Also from the Junkrat, I assume here that the Zarya probably has high charge, so she's going to do a lot of damage if you tried to walk through. But again, this is where I talk about using the Fade to kind of reposition. I think you can probably just fade across here and then use this area as cover and start hitting them from a different angle. Because right now, you know, I know how much you love the off angles. Right now, you're not at an off angle at all. You're sitting right with your team. You're sitting right next to your Junkrat, right next to your Torbjorn. You're just spamming damage at them from this one angle. Whereas, you know, if you kind of fade over here, you can be over here. You can throw a damage orb in from here, hit them from a different angle, kind of be pestering this Zarya a little bit with your right click. You know, just annoy them. Force them to turn their attention over here, and then they're not paying attention to the Junkrat and the Torbjorn and the Orisa, right? So just divert their attention, you know, occupy space in their minds at the very least, right? You're not in a position where you're likely to get any kills, but at least you throw that damage orb in, you kind of annoy them, maybe you get some damage on the Moira, force them to acknowledge you. Your team has been kind of like rolling them. I think you said that you have basically just stomped them this game. So it's one of those games where it really doesn't matter what you do. Your team is probably just going to win anyway. Threw a damage orb straight through there. Maybe could have kept the Junkrat alive if he healed orbed. I don't know. But I'm not really too worried about that, honestly. Tank's out there. She dies. So you're back here kind of just hanging out. I mean, honestly, right now it's kind of fine. Like your tank just died and you're just kind of hiding back and waiting for the tank to come back. That's fine. But now I would definitely say you want to be putting yourself in a spot where you can be doing stuff again. Okay, good. Here. Oh, this is another thing I would say in general. Not as much this game, but generally I think that you don't position yourself great with the Coalescence, right? So the thing with Coalescence is it allows you to simultaneously damage and heal, right? So you want to take full advantage of that and be doing those things as much as possible. So you want to position yourself so that you're behind your team, but still in a position where you can do damage on the enemy, if that makes sense. And then you can be healing your team so they can be just kind of tanking spam damage, right? And they can live through it because you're just constantly healing them, but you're also pressuring the enemy by dealing damage to them at the same time. This is good here. The Pharah is vulnerable. She's ulting. You look at her, you hit her with your ultimate, and you end up getting the kill because of it. Now here, your tank goes down, but that's fine. You got a kill. You're closer to spawn. I think that's probably a fair trade in these situations because they have to run all the way back from way over here, and you're standing right next to your spawn. So any trade at this point is honestly, you know, kind of a trade that you can take. Generally speaking, there are exceptions, but yeah, especially at this point, you still have 2 minutes to push, so trades at this point are totally fine because they just have to walk back longer. Good damage orb, you get the Mercy and the Bastion with that. Junkrat dies there, you couldn't have saved him. Okay, D.Va's coming out, heal her up a little bit, damage orb there off the wall, that's good. That kind of bounces right into where their team is coming from now. She's fine. You don't really have to worry about healing her right now. Especially now with DPS passive changes where all characters in the game now will get healing after a couple seconds of not taking damage. So especially now when you have like a DPS in a completely safe position like that, I'm not really worried about healing them when there are other things you could be doing. So, you know, not really a big deal, but it just something to consider. D.Va's alone in the ult, so you should be able to just kind of heal her up. Okay, you don't really need to because she used the ultimate. Okay. I was confused for a second because I thought that was an enemy Junkrat tire, and you were standing there and he didn't kill you. No, that's your Junkrat's tire, so that's fine. But yeah, so your D.Va ulted there to kind of push them back from the grab. That was good. And now you're just kind of rolling through them, and nothing that you really do here matters. The Moira is behind you, you're ignoring her, going for the Pharah. Pharah is probably killable, but you're just really ignoring the Moira that was behind you, and that wasn't great. If you damage orbed the Pharah there at some point, she probably dies. She's still alive right now, but she's definitely going to die. The Echo is about to kill her. okay, I'm wrong. The Echo maybe wasn't about to kill her. But so you end up winning the game. Yeah, definitely situational awareness, cooldown usage, positioning, ultimate usage. I think there was fine actually. A lot of things with like something that I struggled with for a long time, and that I'm really right now just kind of like going a little balls to the wall with my ultimates right now. But it's better to use your ultimate than to sit on it and never use it. Obviously, you don't want to like 3 people on your team die and they have all 5 guys left and you're like, I'm going to go in and ult and save the point. Like, no, you're just going to die, right? You're not going to save anything. You're just going to die. That's a waste of your ultimate. But there are definitely times where you can use an ultimate that can turn the tide of a battle. So I would say, yeah, like your ultimate usage here was fine. It was kind of a matter of how you used the ultimate as opposed to when you chose to use it. I think your choice of when to use it was fine. Maybe your choice of how to use it wasn't perfect all the time, but I did see some good things from it. You melted that Pharah down when she ulted at the end there, which was good. But yeah, I really think it's just a lot of things, that cooldown usage, that being a little more liberal with your cooldown usage, but being smart about it when you don't have those cooldowns, because not having fade doesn't mean that you die, right? Not having fade means that you have to be smart positionally. You have to be, peeking in and out of cover. You have to be at a safe spot. Whereas when you have fade, that's your get out of jail free card. If you're in a dangerous spot and you have fade, doesn't matter. You can just get out of there, no problem, right? But yeah, I would definitely say you should use that a little more often, just to reposition when you're kind of stuck in a spot where you can't heal, you can't deal damage, and you want to always be doing something. You need to always be providing value to the team, regardless of what it is. Healing, doing damage, off-angling, being annoying, anything. You need to always be doing something to provide value, because if you're standing around doing nothing, then you're not helping your team, and you're going to lose, right? So yeah, mechanically, Moira isn't a mechanically demanding hero at all, so I don't really have any complaints about your mechanics there. You were fine. You were staying on target to hit the guys that you were trying to hit. It's just a matter of decision making. Like I said, using those cooldowns a little more often. Maybe aim. Maybe one mechanical thing is aiming the balls a little bit more effectively sometimes, so they bounce back and forth a little bit more. But yeah, I would say just being more active. And really positioning, staying alive, and always doing something. And yeah, that's about all I have. I'm really running in circles at this point, but honestly, there's just a lot to improve on. I think if you start to improve on any of those things, honestly, really hone in on any of those things. Like if I had any one thing to say, hone in on this and focus on this above all else, it would just be to say, positioning, so that you can keep yourself alive better. And when you're staying alive more, you're going to be inherently providing more value to your team, because that's keeping you alive to do other things more: heal, damage, throw your orbs. And at the very least, even if you're doing none of those things, if you're staying alive, you are providing another target that the enemy team needs to shoot at, right? So at the very least, they have to shoot at you at some point, because otherwise you can just like infinitely contest the point or something, right? So just stay alive, work on the positioning, and obviously the fade usage will help keep you alive. Like I said, there were times like when you were ulting, you died with fade in your pocket. You never, ever want to die with fade in your pocket. It is a get out of jail free card. You should always use it. But yeah, that'll do it for this one. Kind of rambled on, but I hope that there was actually some valuable, information in there. So yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!